Hello and welcome to our History Alive project. Today we'll be talking about the Bubonic Plague. The Bubonic Plague was first discovered in 1346 when a brawl broke out between the Mongol king Janibert and the Italian merchants. When one of the Muslims died, the Italians fled in boats to a Genoese outpost of Kaffa and Janibert gave pursuit. Janibert laid siege on the outpost before his men were stricken by an unknown virus. Soon they catapulted the dead bodies over the walls of the city, making Genoese infected too. The survivors fled by sea to the city of Constantinople, seeking to get away from the virus. Unaware to the captain of the ship, though, one of his passengers had the virus, and once they landed, it spread and killed around 90% of Constantinople's population. October 1347, another ship lands in Sicily and kills half of the city's population. The virus spreads to Manissa, then to the mainland of Italy, where it kills one-third of its population by the following summer. In November 1347, the plague enters France and spreads quickly, killing thousands of people in mere months. In January 1348, a different strand of the plague comes into Europe from Genoa. The people attack the ships, hoping to drive it away before they get infected, but are too late. The new strands enter Italy, where they are already dealing with the old strand of the plague. The plague travels into Persian Empire and into Greece, Bulgaria, Romania, Poland, Egypt, and Cyprus, who was already dealing with an earthquake and tidal wave at the same time. Cities are organizing ships inspection, burning the old ones that have a carrier of the plague. In April 1348, the plague kills hundreds of Jews and their communities, starting in Provence, where 40 Jews die in mere days. June 1348, the plague is soon carried into England from the port of Malcolm Regis. Some try to escape by fleeing inland but end up spreading it further. In the summer of 1348, the plague hits Marseille, Paris, and Normandy before the strain splits and heads into different directions, killing nearly 50% of the population of Avignon. The plague also reached Switzerland, where a rumor started that spreading the plague was caused by Jewish people poisoning the whales. Massacres spread across Jewish cities before King Casimir III offered protection to the Jews.
After King Edward III of England's daughter died from the plague, London is soon taken by siege by the disease. Some flee to the countryside to find food. Edward blamed the cause of the plague on all the garbage and human waste on the streets of London and the Thames River. February 1349. One of the most terrible Jewish massacres happened in Strasbourg, where 2,000 Jews are brutally burned alive. In spring, 3,000 Jews try to fight back in May against the Christians, but are overpowered and slaughtered. April 1349. The plague reaches Wales, brought by people who are fleeing from England. The plague kills 100,000 people in just this country. July 1349. An English ship carries the Black Death to Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. One of the kings believes that fasting on a Friday and not wearing shoes on a Sunday will please God and end the plague. It doesn't work, as two of the king's brothers are killed, and the plague continues to move on to Russia and Greenland, forcing the Vikings to put their exploration of North America on hold 143 years before Christopher Columbus discovered America. March 1350. Scotland, who hasn't yet contacted the plague, plots to take advantage of the English weakness and raid Britain. While waiting on the border to attack, the troops become infected and nearly 5,000 of them die. The remaining soldiers retreat back to Scotland, where they bring the Black Death and with them and kill a third of Scotland. 1351. The spread of the bubonic plague began to slow down thanks to quarantine efforts and social distancing around half of Europe is dead, with 210 Jewish communities destroyed by the massacres. 1353. With the Black Death considered behind them, the feudal and economic systems go out of control, with rank no longer mattering, and it is easier to get a well-paying job with wages better than those of a peasant before the plague. Laws are passed to try and make the peasants not gain too much power, which soon leads to the Renaissance and a more happier time of history. The Black Death never fully leaves, coming back multiple times throughout history.
Ring around the rosy began approximately on 1347 and is thought to come from the Black Plague. The ring around the rosy is the red round rash, the first symptom of the disease. The practice of carrying flowers and placing around the affected person for protection is described in the phrase "a pocket full of posies." Ashes is a corruption or imitation of the sneezing sound made by an affected person. Finally, we all fall down, described, and many deaths resulting from the disease. After World War II, folklorists theorized the rhyme origin dated back to medieval Europe. Scholars saw similarity between the rhyme's cryptic lyrics and circumstances surrounding the deadly plague that swept across Europe and many millions of people. Ring around the rosy, other probable time of creation. The ring around the rosy is sometimes said to have originated with a later outbreak of the plague which occurred in London in 1665, to which all of the following responsing applies as well. Although folklorists have been collecting and setting down in print bits of oral traditions such as nursery rhymes and fairy tales for hundreds of years, the earliest print of the Ring Around the Rosy did not occur until the publication of Kate Greenaway's Mother Goose or the Old Nursery Rhyme in 1881. How anyone could credibly assert a rhyme which didn't appear in print until 1881 actually began about 1347. It's a mystery. If the rhyme were really this old, then Ring Around the Rosy, and it dates even Chancellor's Canterbury Tales, and therefore we will have examples of this rhyme in the Middle English as well as modern English forms. For the plague explanation of Ring Around the Rosy to have be true, we have to believe that children were reciting this nursery rhyme continuously for over 5 centuries, yet not one person in that 500-year span found it popular enough to merit writing it down. Ring Around the Rosy, American version. Ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posy. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Ring Around the Rosy, British version. This version was collected by Alice Gome and published in the Dictionary of the British Folklore in 1898. Ring around a rosy, a pocket full of posies. Upstairs, downstairs, in my lady's chamber. Husher, husher, cuckoo. 1665 through 1666. The Great Fire of London started in a baker's shop off of Pudding Lane. A small fire started which quickly spread through London, causing a massive fire. Although this was very tragic, it killed many of the pests carrying the white bacteria and killed off most of the bubonic plague.